Hello everyone, my name is Dominik Daniewski, and today I'll show you how to change business processes into easy SharePoint workflows. Few words about me. I have a 10+ years Microsoft related experience as a SharePoint consultant, SharePoint developer, and project manager. Now I work at Datapolis as pre-sales engineer. First, I'm going to give you a brief description of the business case we found on the customer's side. Then I'm going to talk about typical problems we found on his side. Then I'm going to talk about the solution we proposed to him. Then I'm going to show the tools which you can use. And next, I'm going to talk about the tool we chose, which is Datapolis process system. And at the end, we're going to see the live demo. The business case. What we found on the customer side was the order approval system, which was working totally on paper. All the documents were on paper. Only the scans of documents were sent by email for approval. What were the typical problems? No centralized document repository, no approval path definition, no reports possibility. In one word, one huge mess. What was the solution we gave to the customer? All the documents on SharePoint, business process transformed into workflows, roles defined, permissions added, and easy change management implemented. So what tools can you use to achieve this goal? First of all, you can do everything in SharePoint Designer and Visual. The plus of SharePoint Designer is that it's free. However, you have to pay for Visual if you want to have a visual designer. The second option is Visual Studio. The Visual Studio costs a lot and you've got to be a developer to do something in it. Of course, we've got third-party tools to choose from. This is what we did. We chose Datapolis process system, which is web-based. It's got a graphical workflow designer. It splits the view on a process into business layer and the technical layer. It supports truly state machine workflows. It's got its integrated forms mechanism, and it supports versioning of the workflow definitions. As we speak about the order approval process itself, this is what the customer showed us. So this is the human way of thinking. This is how the process can look like if you transfer it to a sequential way of thinking. For example, SharePoint Designer. Everything is mixed up on the same layer, so it's totally unreadable for non-IT guys, for business guys. And this is how the process can look like if you use a third-party tool. In this example, Datapolis process system. It's almost the same as what the customer presented us on paper. And now something I hope everyone's been waiting for, a live demo. I'm going to start from scratch just to show you how easy it can be to create a working solution in SharePoint using Datapolis process system. First of all, I'd like to create a list for my orders. Okay, I'm going to edit the list. I'm going to add some specific fields. I'm going to rename the title to order number. I'm going to add a field called order description. Which can be multiple lines of text. I'm going to add a field called order value, which is going to be a number field, for example, with 2 decimal places. Of course, this will be only a trivial example, however, it will give you the idea of how to work with such processes in SharePoint. So order value, let's create another field called order date. And this will be a date and time field. And that's it. That's my template for my orders list. So what I like to do now is to add a process to it, add a workflow to it. How can I do it? I open up the ribbon, click on the Datapolis process system settings icon, and I'd like to create a new workflow. I'd like to call this workflow approval, or let's say order approval. And that's almost it. Now the workflow editor opens up, the workflow modeler opens up. It's 100% web-based, so you don't have to install anything. The first time you open it up, the manual opens up, so you can use it and learn the tool. I'm going to close it. I've got the blank workflow template. I only got the starting and the ending point of the workflow. What happens inside my workflow is my decision. So I'd like to replicate the workflow the customer showed me. So first of all, I've got the first state inside my workflow. I'm going to create a state machine workflows, and this is a state called order creation. Now we've got another state called order placed. Okay. Then the order can be in the state called waiting for approval. Okay. For now I only have states inside my workflow. I have to connect those states somehow. However, we've got more states to add. One of them is called in review. Can make everything look a bit bigger so that you could all see fine what I'm doing here. I'll add another state and I call it order modifications. Okay. I'll use the comments field to give a brief description of my workflow. Order approval workflow. Okay, this is just a simple description of my workflow. I'll place it somewhere here so that it won't mess up the view on my process itself. Okay, I've got the states. Now I have to connect those states with actions. So the initial action, create an order, another action called place an order, we can send the order for approval, so the action will be called send for approval. And someone who's approving the document, the order, can of course approve it. Can as well reject the document. And of course can do something more with this document, can send it back for review, for example. So we can send the document back for review. Okay, so what else can happen here inside my workflow? The order can be sent to get some modifications. So order send for modifications. And the workflow and the order can be sent corrected. Okay. If the order is placed, we can say that we want to review an order. So let's do it here. And the order can come back from review saying that the order is okay. So let's just present this action here. Order is okay. Let's make it look nicer. Okay, great. And we can of course say that during the review someone says that the order needs modification, so we can send the document back to this state. Order needs modification. Okay, I showed you how to draw, let's say, the workflow, but this is not all. Just by clicking one button, I can publish the workflow back to my list and show you that it's already working. It's already a working process. It doesn't have a complex business logic. However, it's already working. So let's just publish my workflow. First version, I'm going to add some comment to it. First version, no advanced logic. Okay, I'm just publishing my workflow now. I'll open up the second tab of my browser so that I can do two things in the same time. Okay, my workflow is now publishing. We have to wait a second. This is all virtual environment, so it takes a bit longer than in normal production environment. Okay, my workflow is deployed successfully. So let's go back to my orders list and create our first order. This will be the first order. Order description. This is a test order. Order value will be $1,000, let's say, and the order date can be something like the 19th of May. Okay, I'm going to save my order now. This is of course, as I said in the beginning, a trivial example. The real order should be attached here as an attachment, a PDF file, an Excel file, or something like it. Okay, I'm going to refresh the page, and as you can see, two additional columns appeared here. One of them is called order approval, and this is how my workflow is named, and the second one is called order approval state. So by clicking the first additional column, we can see a visual representation of what's happening inside my workflow. So this is it. For now, we're in the first state we created. It's called order creation. And the second column gives me the idea in which state are we now. So let's look at the workflows diagram. First, we're in the order creation state. The Datapolis process system integrates 100% into SharePoint, so you've got a special context menu which appears here. You can do your action directly from the list item, from the library item, and so on and so on. So the first action is called place an order. It doesn't have any logic in it. We don't have forms, we don't send mails, and so on and so on. I'm going to show you how can you easily implement changes into your processes. So first of all, I'm placing an order. So now we're in the state called order placed. Now someone checks the order and says that we want to review this order. So now we're sending the order for review. So now the order is in the in review state. This is exactly what I wanted to show you. So now we can send the document back and say that the order is okay, for example. I have to confirm my decision. So as you can see, after just a couple of minutes working with Datapolis system, we've got a working solution. We've got a first version of the process. We can work directly with business guys, and after one meeting, we can have a working system. So now we're back in the state called order placed. Now we can send the order for some modifications. Send for modifications. Okay, I'm confirming my decision now. So now we're in the order modification state, and I can say that the order is corrected now, so I want to send corrected. Okay, my modifications are done. I'm confirming it, and I'm going back to the order placed state. So this is this path in my workflow. Now I'm going to send my order for approval. So send for approval. In this state, of course, we can send it to the manager. We can apply people picker control here so that we could choose the person manually, and so on and so on. In this example, something happens beneath this stage, and the system knows where to send the document. So now the document is here, it's waiting for approval, and the final approver can in this place say that he wants to approve this document, reject the document, or can send the document back for review, can send the order for review. But for this example, we say that someone wants to approve this order. So he clicks confirm, and the workflow is finished and the order approval is completed. If I click on the link, I can see the visual history of my workflow. This is a very important page because we can see the workflow statistics table. We can see the longest break inside my workflow. So this is like a bottleneck. We can easily find bottlenecks inside workflows. And here we can see what happened from the beginning. Someone created an order, someone placed an order, the order was sent for review, then it went back to the order placed state. Then we wanted some modifications. It went back to order placed state. It was sent for approval, and someone approved this document exactly at that time. So this is a very important page, a visual representation of what happened inside the workflow. So as you can see, just a couple of minutes and we've got a working process attached to orders list based on SharePoint. Let's go back to my workflow. Let's make it a little bit more complex. Let's say that if someone rejects the order, he has to give some comment. He has to say why did he reject this document. So we create a form. As I said in the beginning, I'm going to present you some integrated mechanism for creating forms. So I'm going to create a simple form to gather some information from the users, from the end users. In this example, a comment field, for example. So I'll add a new variable called comments. Okay, and I'm going to use it on my reject form on my reject form template, I'd like this field to be required. Okay, I'm going to remove the form header, I'm going to remove the form footer, and I'm going to save. So now I created a simple form. Let's say that if I create an order, if I place an order, I don't have to fill anything. So let's not waste time on click confirm. So no launch form needed now. Send for approval, the same, no launch form needed. However, if you have to use some very complex forms, you can use existing InfoPub forms, you can create InfoPub forms, you can create custom forms. With Datapolis process system, you get the SDK, so if you get developer skills, you can create your own forms. However, in this scenario, we don't want to use any launch form. Okay, let's just publish another version. Some logic. Let's say I'm publishing the second version of my workflow. Let's go back to my orders list. Okay, we need to wait a couple of seconds for the workflow to get published. Okay, let's go back. The workflow was successfully deployed, and now let's create another order here. So this will be the second order, order description, test description number 2, order value $100, order date. Okay, let's refresh the page. Let's give the machine some time to warm up. Okay, the workflow started. My order is now in order creation state. Order approval. I'd like to place an order. As I said, I removed the confirm button. I said that I don't want to show any other form, any other button to confirm, just to shorten the path to the end user, for the end user. And this is what happens now. So we didn't have to click anything. I didn't have to click anything. I'm back in my orders list. So now I'm in the order placed state. I'd like to send my order for approval. So the workflow is now in waiting for approval state. And now let's say that the approver wants to reject the document. And as you remember, I created a simple form and I added some comments field to it. And I said that I want the comments field to be required. So as you can see, the validation works. This order is wrong. Okay, the workflow has finished. If I click on the workflow history page, I can see that in the last stage someone added some comment. So as you can see, adding forms is pretty easily. I just did something like this in a couple of minutes. I told you that I was pretty interested in the versioning of the workflows. So with Datapolis process system, you can pretty easily roll back to some previous version. So I created a first draft version of my workflow, of my process. Then I created the first version. It's this version that I commented no advanced logic. And now I'm in the second version of my workflow, and it's got some logic, as you can see. We can, as I said, pretty easily roll back to some version. We can export a workflow definition and we can import it in some other environment. This is also very important if we speak about migration from development environment to production environment, for example. Okay, now let's say that I'd like to send some emails to the end users. Every time the state changes, I'd like to inform the owner of the order that something happens to his document. So let's open up the technical layer. In the beginning, I said that I wanted to give the end user, give the customer the tool that's going to split the view on a process on the business layer and on the technical layer. Everything I did so far, I did on the business layer. So let me close this window again. If the business user looks at this picture, he understands the workflow. He understands what happens here because it's just a drawing for him. However, we want to implement some advanced logic in here, and we open up the technical layer, and this is something that the person, the power user, opens up and creates some advanced logic. So let's just say that we'd like to send an email. This is the state change email, for example. The recipient should be the current item created by. So this is the author of the order. So my recipient will be current item created by. As you can see, I can choose a lookup from a tree. I can pretty easily get info from my SharePoint context, let's say. The title, your order number, and I can create some dynamic string. So order current item order number. Your order number is now in state, and I can pretty easily get the name of the state just by clicking workflow data, workflow stages, current action, destination, state name. Okay, and I can duplicate this text here in the message body. So dear user, your order is now in state. Workflow data, workflow stages, current action, state's name. Okay, so this is the name of the state that my document is going to be in a second. We can create HTML messages, so you can make them look pretty ugly, pretty nice, let's say. Pretty ugly, that's funny. Okay, I'm going to save it. Now I'm going to use a feature I personally very like, which is a clipboard. So I'm going to copy this activity into a clipboard, and I'm going to use it in my workflow in couple more places. Activities, clipboard, send change, state change email. Okay. If someone rejects, I'd like to do exactly the same. So state change email. Okay. I'm publishing the third version of my workflow, and I can do this on and on. So I can make the workflow more complex, and even more complex. I hope I gave you the brief view on how to change business processes into SharePoint workflows easily, because everything I did here in this live demo was made in like less than 30 minutes, and I've got the workflow running, I've got the system running. I hope the customer will be happy, and I can make it even more advanced. So that's all I wanted to show you in this live demo section. Thank you all for watching and goodbye.